Okay, so today we're going deep on something pretty fundamental
Yeah.
for anyone trying to, get their footing in a new place.
Oh, absolutely.
And that is the whole idea of connection,
Right.
really making those bonds.
Absolutely.
And we've got these incredible guides for this.
Okay.
Elizabeth and E. Thomas Brewster.
Oh, wow.
Now they're really well known in the world of language
Yeah.
and culture acquisition.
Okay.
You've probably heard of their book, LMP.
Right.
Language Acquisition Made Practical.
Yeah.
It's kind of a staple.
Yeah.
And they spent decades working with missionaries all over the world.
I see.
So they really have this
Yeah.
up close and personal
Right.
view of what it takes
Okay.
to adapt
Yeah.
and thrive
To thrive.
in a new culture.
Yeah.
And today we're focusing on something even more fundamental than
Mhm.
just language learning.
Got it.
We're going right to the heart of it.
Huh.
That ability to really feel like you belong in a new cultural context.
Yeah, that's huge.
And we're going to be digging into
Okay.
their book from 1982,
All right.
Bonding and the Missionary Task.
Bonding and the Missionary Task, 1982.
Now, one of the things
Yeah.
that I found so fascinating about this book
Yeah.
is this really powerful parallel that they draw
Thanks, Jeff.
between a newborn baby
Oh, wow.
and someone entering a brand new culture.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah.
A newborn arrives in the world
Mm-hmm.
and they're almost programmed to connect with their parents.
Right.
And similarly, someone stepping into a completely foreign environment,
Yeah.
they have this incredible window
Mm-hmm.
to form those really deep relationships
Okay.
and truly feel like they're part of that new world.
Like they belong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the Brewsters really highlight the
Ah.
intensity of those first moments in
Right.
a new environment,
Right.
whether it's literally being born or,
Mhm.
Stepping off a plane.
To a completely different country.
Yeah.
It's sensory overload.
Right.
You're bombarded with new sights and sounds and smells.
Absolutely.
It's a completely different way of life.
Yeah.
It's like total immersion
It is
in the unfamiliar.
radical immersion.
And they also point out something
Mm.
pretty fascinating
Yeah.
about newborns.
Right.
Doctors have observed that a healthy baby
Right.
who hasn't been given any medication during labor,
Okay.
they're often incredibly alert
Oh, wow.
on that very first day,
Interesting.
almost more so than in the following weeks.
So that very first
Yeah,
initial...
it's like this prime time for connection.
Wow.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
If that alertness is interfered with,
Okay.
whether it's medication
Mm-hmm.
or, immediate separation from the mother,
Mm-hmm.
that can actually hinder the bonding process.
Oh, I see.
And this is where the parallel comes in
Okay.
for adults entering a new culture.
Yeah.
The Brewsters say that,
Those first 2 to 3 weeks are
Okay.
absolutely crucial.
so just like that first day,
Yeah. Right, in sense of
new
born
it's,
situation.
it's like that for the newcomer
Yeah.
in those first few weeks.
It's like you're primed
Wow,
to connect with that new environment.
I see.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay,
The Brewsters actually suggest
yeah.
that trying to make things too familiar too quickly can actually backfire.
Really?
They call it cushioning.
Cushioning.
And it can unintentionally get in the way
Interesting.
of that deeper bonding process.
Oh, wow.
Think about it.
Yeah.
If a newborn baby spends all its time in a nursery
Okay.
being cared for by hospital staff,
Yeah.
the strongest bonds might form there
Right.
instead of with the parents.
Instead of with the parents.
And they see this happening
Yeah.
with missionaries as well.
Oh.
If a new missionary arrives
Right.
and immediately surrounds themselves with the already established expatriate community
Yeah.
for all their support and social interaction, their primary bonds
Yeah.
can end up being within that circle.
Oh, I see.
And that can lead to what they call the foray method of ministry,
Foray method.
where missionaries
Okay.
kind of live apart from the local community, maybe in a mission compound or something similar,
Yeah.
and they only venture out periodically
Right.
before retreating back to the familiar
To be
and
real comfortable.
of that expatriate community.
Exactly.
So it's almost like not fully
Yeah.
immersing yourself,
Not really jumping in.
not really jumping in.
With both feet.
No.
So for someone moving to a new city for work,
Yeah.
this might mean
Okay.
that immediately joining all the alumni groups
Okay.
from their old university
Right.
could actually make it harder
Make it harder.
to really integrate
Into the local community
to a local community.
of their new city.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the potential downside here
Okay.
is that it can prevent
Mm.
that really deep connection with the local culture,
Yeah.
and that can manifest in some pretty telling ways.
Like how?
You know those moments of frustration
Yeah.
when someone might say, oh, these people,
Look at these people.
why do they always do things this way?
Yeah.
Or even more dismissive,
Yeah.
when will these people ever learn?
Yeah.
It really reveals
Right.
a lack of understanding, a
Yeah.
lack of empathy
Yeah.
that comes from truly connecting
Right.
with the
To
culture.
really being a part of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's so fascinating
Yeah.
is that the Brewsters contrast this
Okay.
with the incredible benefits
Mm.
of immediate immersion,
Okay, so the opposite.
like diving right in.
Diving right in.
Imagine someone new to a culture, deciding from day one
Mm.
to live with a local family.
Oh, wow.
They are immediately immersed
Instantly.
in the daily rhythms of life.
Right.
They see firsthand
Yeah.
how people organize their meals, how they shop,
Yeah.
how they use transportation.
How they get around.
All those little details
Oh, the things.
that really make up a culture.
Yeah.
They also get this inside perspective
Right.
on how locals view foreigners, what the social rules are,
Yeah.
the pace of life.
The rhythm of everything.
It's all right there.
Yeah.
And it allows them to
Right.
really see and potentially adapt to
Mhm.
new ways of doing things.
Yeah, totally.
Now, on the other hand,
Okay.
the missionary,
Mm.
or anyone really,
Yeah.
who prioritizes setting up
Okay.
a familiar
Mm.
Western-style existence
Right.
from the start,
Yeah.
they might unintentionally isolate themselves
Right.
in this little,
Like a bubble.
foreign bubble.
And they miss out on the richness of truly living alongside the locals.
Just really experiencing the culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, this applies to all kinds of situations.
Yeah,
Think about an international student
right.
moving to a new country,
Yeah.
living in university housing
Okay.
versus finding a homestay
Versus homestay.
with a local family.
Yeah,
It's going to have a huge impact.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On how well they integrate
Yeah,
into that new culture.
absolutely.
Now, of course, that initial disorientation
Yeah.
in a new environment
Okay.
can lead to culture shock.
Right, can be overwhelming.
But the Brewsters suggest
Okay.
that this immediate immersion,
Mm-hmm.
even with the stress,
Yeah.
can be more effective.
More effective in the long run.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a more gradual,
Okay.
cushioned entry.
Then easing in.
It's like learning to swim by jumping in the deep end.
Oh, it might be scary at first,
Yeah.
but you tend to learn a lot faster.
Right. You have to adapt.
You have no choice.
Yeah. You're forced to.
And once you've kind of established
Mhm.
that presence
Okay.
in the new environment,
Yeah.
a really crucial part
Okay.
is building those relationships.
Right. Making connections.
The Brewsters emphasize
Yeah.
connecting with locals
Mm-hmm.
from day one,
Right away.
being willing to communicate your needs,
Okay.
expressing your desire to learn.
Yeah. To learn.
And they make this point
Yeah.
that people are generally willing to help those who are clearly trying.
Right. Who are open to learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it this way.
Okay.
When those stressful situations come up,
Yeah.
as they inevitably do,
Yeah, they will.
who are you going to turn to
Right.
if you've already started building those
Yeah.
connections with the local community?
Okay.
You've got people who understand the nuances of the situation.
Right.
It's different than
Mhm.
relying solely on the expatriate community.
So you're getting insights
They're getting
from people who are actually
insiders' perspectives.
insiders' perspectives.
They're not outsiders.
Not outsiders looking in.
Yeah.
Right.
And they tell this really powerful story
Okay.
about a couple
Yeah.
who moved to a Muslim context.
Okay.
And they made this decision
Mhm.
to limit their interactions
Oh.
with other Westerners
With other Westerners.
for those first few months.
Yeah.
And the result was incredible.
Real.
They were embraced
Okay.
by the local community.
Yeah.
So much so
Wow.
that 125 local friends
125.
attended their Christmas celebration.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's really something.
Yeah. That's powerful.
And this whole idea of bonding,
Yeah.
it's not just about
Yeah.
feeling more at home.
Right.
It's deeply intertwined
Okay.
with language learning.
With
The Brewsters are very clear
yeah.
that living with a local family
Okay.
can really accelerate.
It can accelerate language acquisition.
Yeah.
Wow.
It makes sense, though.
Yeah.
You're constantly surrounded.
You're immersed.
By the language.
Yeah.
In real everyday interactions.
Yeah.
It's not just textbooks and classrooms.
But real life.
And they highlight
Yeah.
that language learning is fundamentally a social activity.
It's social. It's not just academic.
Not just academic.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how we all learn our first language.
Right. We learn by interacting.
It's through listening.
Yeah.
Imitating.
Trying things out.
Experimenting.
Yeah.
It's all within those early relationships.
In those relationships.
While formal study is important,
right.
It can't fully replace those real face-to-face conversations with native speakers.
Those are so important.
And what's interesting is that you actually only need a little bit of the language.
Just a little bit.
To start building those connections.
Wow.
They tell this story of a missionary who was challenged on her first day.
On her first day.
To speak with 50 people.
50 people?
Using whatever little language she knew.
Wow.
She only managed to connect with 44.
Okay.
But that very act of reaching out, even with limited vocabulary, was the catalyst.
It sparked those connections.
To those relationships. Yeah. And what did she use in those interactions?
Yeah.
A basic greeting expressing her desire to learn.
Right.
Saying she hoped to see them again.
Yeah.
A thank you. And a goodbye.
A simple goodbye.
That's it.
That's all it took.
But it was enough to break the ice, to start feeling like she belonged.
That's amazing.
And the Brewsters point out, she continued that pattern.
Okay.
Always learning a little more, but always prioritizing, using what she knew.
Right. In real conversation.
In real life.
And they say language study can actually be frustrating for those who don't have those connections.
If you're not using it.
With the local community.
Yeah. It's harder to stay motivated.
Yeah, because without that practical application, it's hard to stay engaged.
Exactly.
And to really hammer home these crucial early steps. The Brewsters recommend 4 conditions.
4 conditions.
For those first few weeks.
Okay.
In a new culture.
Right.
Willingness to live with a local family.
Okay.
Limiting belongings to just 20 kilos.
Not 20 kilos.
Using local transportation.
Local transportation.
And expecting that language learning will happen primarily through the relationships you build.
So it's all about the relationships.
It's all about those connections.
Wow.
And they argue that embracing these conditions shows a lot about your attitude.
About your attitude and your flexibility. Yeah.
They even share this example of 11 newcomers in Bolivia.
11 newcomers.
Who fully embraced this approach.
Okay.
They lived with local families.
Right.
Built relationships. And within the first 3 months.
In just 3 months, over 30 people.
30 people.
Came to faith.
Wow.
As a result.
As a direct result.
Of the discipleship.
Of those relationships.
Made possible by those authentic connections.
Wow, that's powerful.
It's pretty remarkable.
It is.
Now, the Brewsters are realistic. They acknowledge that this approach has its stresses.
It's not easy.
And even risks.
Right. There are challenges.
They compare it to the stress and challenges of childbirth. But their argument is that these very challenges can be essential for creating that environment where deep bonding happens.
For that deep connection to form.
And they point out what they call the longer-term risk.
The longer-term risk.
Of not bonding early on.
Of not doing this.
They talk about missionary attrition.
Right.
The fact that a lot of missionaries don't return.
Don't go back.
For a second term of service.
For another term.
And they suggest that a failure
Yeah.
To truly become a belonger.
If you don't feel like you belong.
In that new culture.
Yeah.
That can really take a toll.
It takes a toll.
They say living with a local family.
Okay.
Making those friends, learning the language.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
But neither is.
But neither is.
Continuing to live as a stranger.
As an outsider.
In a foreign land.
In a foreign land.
Well, what about those who are a bit further along?
Yeah.
Those first few months have already passed.
Okay.
Is it too late?
Is it too late to bond?
To form those deep connections?
Yeah.
The Brewsters say absolutely not.
Okay. Belated bonding is possible.
You can still do it.
It might take a conscious effort.
Conscious effort.
To adopt that learner's mindset.
Right. To be open.
To spend time.
Yeah.
living with a local family.
To immerse yourself.
Even for a shorter period.
Yeah, even for a little while.
And it's important to clarify what bonding really means.
Right.
And maybe more importantly, what it doesn't mean.
Oh, it isn't.
The Brewsters say bonding leads to becoming bicultural.
Bicultural.
It's not about rejecting your own culture.
Yeah.
It's about
adding to it.
Integrating.
Yeah.
Embracing both.
Embracing both.
And they also make a distinction between being bicultural and having a split personality.
Yeah.
It's not about
being two different people.
Yeah, it's not about fragmenting yourself.
Right.
It's about expanding your personality.
Yeah.
Having this new outlet or expression.
Who you are.
And it can even give you this childlike freedom to make mistakes.
Yeah.
To learn and grow. Without that pressure.
Without all the pressure.
Of having to be perfect.
Yeah.
Or always knowing the right way to do things.
Always be right.
And finally, the Brewsters bring in this theological perspective.
A theological perspective.
They remind us that God creates us within a particular culture, but he calls some to step into and belong to other cultures.
To other cultures.
To share good news.
To share the gospel.
And they draw this parallel to John 1.14.
John 1.14.
The Word became flesh.
The Word became flesh.
And dwelt among us.
Highlighting
Jesus' own act of becoming a belonger with humanity as this powerful model.
A powerful model.
For the missionary task.
Yeah.
And really for anyone.
For anyone seeking to connect across cultural divides.
Across cultures. So to sum it all up.
The key takeaway from this deep dive into the Brewsters' work.
Into bonding.
Is the profound impact of engaging deeply.
Of going all in.
And early with a new culture. Yeah. That initial period after arriving.
And you first get there.
It's like this unique window of opportunity.
A window of opportunity.
For connection, just like that newborn.
Just like a newborn.
And if we embrace it.
It
can lead to incredible growth.
Yeah.
Deeper relationships.
And
greater effectiveness.
And really thriving.
Whatever we're doing.
In that new place.
It's really quite amazing.
It is.
And it makes me think about all the different transitions we go through in life, whether it's moving to a new city, starting a new job, joining a new community group.
Absolutely.
All these involve a new environment.
A new cultural context.
In
a way.
So what principles from this discussion on bonding do you think might apply to those everyday transitions? We all experience. It's really worth considering.
It is.
Maybe exploring this idea of cultural bonding. Yeah. Could give us
some tools.
Some real insights. Into navigating change. And building those meaningful relationships.
And building those connections.
In all kinds of contexts.
So
thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
For this deep dive.
Yeah, it's been great.
Into the art of connection.
And belonging.
It's been a pleasure.
It has.